The words didn't make sense at first. She's fighting for her life and keeps saying your name. Junha had to ask the nurse to repeat herself twice before his brain caught up. Naliaka, the woman who'd brought light into his aunt's hospital room and accidentally into his carefully controlled world, was in critical condition. She'd been sick for months and told no one. She'd resigned from the hospital 3 weeks ago and disappeared completely. But somehow, somewhere between their late-night conversations and shared terrible coffee, she'd decided he was the person worth calling when death came knocking. He just wished he understood why. Before we continue with what happens next, if you're enjoying this story and want to see how Junha and Naliaka's connection began, hit that like button. And if you love K-drama stories that'll give you all the feels, make sure you subscribe, because this story is just getting started. The phone call came at 2 in the morning. Junha was awake, as usual. Sleep had never come easy to him, not in his line of work. He sat in his apartment, going through reports his team had sent, a glass of whiskey untouched on the desk beside him. The city lights of Seoul spread out beyond his windows, but he barely noticed them anymore. When his phone buzzed, he glanced at the screen. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Almost. Yes. Mr. Seo Junha? The voice was professional. Urgent. A woman. This is Hangang Medical Center. We have a patient here. Her name is Naliaka Mumtui. You're listed as her emergency contact. Junha sat up straight. What? Sir, she's in critical condition. We found your number in her phone. You were the only contact listed. She's been asking for you. His mind went blank for a second. Naliaka. He hadn't seen her in almost 3 weeks. She'd disappeared from the hospital where his aunt was staying, resigned without explanation, and he'd spent days trying to find her before his pride made him stop. What happened? She collapsed in her apartment. The landlord found her. Sir, her condition is very serious. She keeps saying your name. We need you to come in as soon as possible. Junha was already grabbing his jacket. I'm on my way. He ended the call and stood there for a moment, phone still in his hand. She'd listed him as her emergency contact. Him. Not family, not friends. Him. Why? He didn't have time to figure it out. He grabbed his keys and left. The drive to Hangang Medical Center took 15 minutes. It should have taken 30. But Junha didn't care about speed limits right now. His driver offered to take him, but he refused. He needed to do something with his hands, or he'd lose his mind. When he arrived, he nearly ran through the entrance. A nurse at the desk looked up, startled. Naliaka Mumtui, he said. Where is she? The nurse checked her computer. Are you Mr. Seo? Yes. ICU, 4th floor. The doctor wants to speak with you first. He took the stairs. Couldn't wait for an elevator. The ICU floor was quiet, sterile, filled with the sound of machines beeping. A doctor approached him, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes. Mr. Seo, where is she? This way, but I need to explain her condition first. The doctor led him down a hallway. Miss Mumtui was brought in 3 hours ago. She has severe lupus, an autoimmune disease. It's attacking her lungs. From what we can tell, she's been symptomatic for months, but never sought treatment. Junha felt something cold settle in his chest. Months? Yes, her condition is critical. We've stabilized her for now, but the next 48 hours are crucial. The doctor stopped outside a room. She's been drifting in and out of consciousness. When she's aware, she keeps asking if you've arrived yet. Do you know why she might have delayed treatment for so long? He didn't answer. He was staring through the glass window into the room. Naliaka was there, lying in the hospital bed, oxygen mask over her face, IV lines in her arms. She looked so small. That was his first thought. She'd always seemed so full of life, so present, and now she looked like she might disappear entirely. Can I go in? Yes, but please, don't tire her out. Junha pushed open the door. The machines beeped steadily. Her chest rose and fell with effort. He walked to her bedside, slowly, like approaching something fragile that might shatter. Her eyes were closed, dark circles underneath them. Her normally warm brown skin looked dull, ashen. Her hair was wrapped in a scarf he'd seen her wear before, bright colors that seemed too cheerful for this white room. He pulled a chair close and sat down, didn't know what to do with his hands. Finally, carefully, he reached out and took her hand. It was cold. "Naliaka," he said quietly. "It's me. It's Junha." Nothing. He sat there, holding her hand, feeling completely useless. This woman had cared for his aunt when no one else bothered. She'd made him laugh when he'd forgotten how. And he hadn't even known she was sick. What kind of person did that make him? Her fingers twitched. Then her eyes opened, just a little. "Mr. Seo?" Her voice was barely a whisper, muffled by the oxygen mask. Relief flooded through him. "I'm here. Don't try to talk, just rest." But her grip tightened on his hand. "You came." "Of course I came." Her eyes closed again, but this time she looked peaceful, like she'd been waiting for something and finally found it. He stayed. "Now, let me take you back to how all of this began. Back to when Junha first met the woman who would become his emergency contact. It was 4 months earlier. Junha's aunt, Park Min-soo, had suffered a stroke. She was the only family he had left who still spoke to him, the only one who didn't care about the choices he'd made or the life he led. When she got sick, he made sure she had the best care possible. He'd moved her to Seolung Rehabilitation Hospital, a private facility on the edge of Seoul. What most people didn't know was that Junha owned the place. It was one of his legitimate businesses, a way to clean money and maintain appearances. The staff knew him as an investor, nothing more. He visited late at night, always. Couldn't risk being seen too often during the day. His world required invisibility. The first time he saw Naliaka, she was singing. He'd walked into his aunt's room at 11 p.m., expecting to find her asleep. Instead, Min-soo was sitting up in bed, and a young woman with dark skin and kind eyes was helping her do hand exercises while humming something soft and unfamiliar. They both looked up when he entered. "Oh," the woman said, smiling. "You must be the nephew. Mrs. Park talks about you constantly." Junha wasn't used to people smiling at him like that, like he was normal. "I am. And you are?" "Naliaka. I'm one of the caregivers here." She had an accent, one he couldn't quite place. Her Korean was good, but shaped by another language. "Your aunt had a great day today. She managed to hold a spoon by herself during dinner." Min-soo beamed with pride. "That's good," Junha said, and meant it. He approached the bed, kissed his aunt's forehead. "How are you feeling?" Min-soo tried to speak, but the words came out slurred. The stroke had affected her speech badly. She looked frustrated. "It's okay," Naliaka said gently, touching Min-soo's shoulder. "Take your time. We've been practicing, remember? Slow and steady." And his aunt tried again, slower this time, and managed to say, "Better." Naliaka clapped her hands. "See? You're getting stronger every day." The joy on his aunt's face made something in Junha's chest ache. "I should let you two visit," Naliaka said, standing up. "Mr. Seo, if you need anything, I'll be at the nurse's station." "Thank you," he said. She left, humming that same song. His aunt grabbed his hand and said with great effort, "Good girl." "She seems nice," Junha agreed. Min-soo nodded firmly, then pointed at him, then at the door where Naliaka had gone. "What? No, Aunt. I'm just here to visit you." She gave him a look that clearly said she didn't believe him. Over the next week, Junha came to visit every other night, and every time, Naliaka was there. She shouldn't have been. Her shifts ended at 9, he learned, but she stayed late with his aunt, unpaid, helping with exercises, or reading to her, or just talking. "Don't you have somewhere to be?" he asked her one night, genuinely curious. Naliaka looked up from the puzzle she was doing with Min-soo. "Not really. I live alone, and your aunt is much better company than my empty apartment. Still, you should be compensated for your time. Some things aren't about money, Mr. Seo." The way she said it wasn't judgmental, just honest, like it was the most obvious truth in the world. He found himself staying longer during his visits, just to listen to them. Naliaka would tell stories about growing up in Kenya, about her siblings, about the first time she tried kimchi and thought her mouth was on fire. Min-soo couldn't talk much, but she'd laugh. Real, genuine laughter. Junha realized he couldn't remember the last time he'd heard that sound. One night, Naliaka asked him, "What do you do, Mr. Seo, for work?" He had his answer prepared, the one he always used. "I manage investments, property mostly, boring stuff. Must not be too boring if it keeps you up this late. I don't sleep well." "Me neither," she admitted. "That's why I don't mind the late shifts. Might as well be useful if I'm awake anyway." "Why can't you sleep?" She was quiet for a moment, focusing on adjusting his aunt's pillow. Worrying, I guess, about family back home, about money, about whether I'm doing the right thing with my life. The usual. He understood that. The worrying, the wondering. "How long have you been in Korea?" 3 years. I came to study nursing, but it's expensive, so I work as a caregiver to pay for school. Slow process, but I'll get there." "You're not doing this as a career?" "This is part of it. Caregiving teaches you things you can't learn from books. How to see people, not just patients. How to make someone feel human when they're scared or in pain." She smiled at his aunt. "Mrs. Park is teaching me a lot." Min-soo patted her hand. That night, after Naliaka left, his aunt looked at Junha with sharp eyes. Despite the stroke, despite the difficulty speaking, she made herself very clear. "You like her." It wasn't a question. "She's a good caregiver," Junha said. His aunt rolled her eyes. Even partially paralyzed, she could still make him feel like a child being scolded. The following week, something shifted. Junha came in to find his aunt agitated, breathing hard, monitors beeping. Naliaka was there, calm but focused, checking vitals and calling for the nurse. "What happened?" Junha demanded. "She had a panic episode," Naliaka said. "It happens sometimes after strokes. The fear catches up with them." The doctor came, administered medication, checked everything. Min-soo calmed down gradually, but she was exhausted. "She needs to rest," the doctor said. "The next few hours are important. We'll monitor her closely." Junha nodded, unable to speak. His aunt looked so fragile, so old. When had she gotten old? The doctor left. Visiting hours were long over. The floor was quiet. "You should go home," Naliaka said softly. "I'm staying." "Mr. Silo, she's stable now. You need rest too." "I'm staying," he repeated, firmer this time. Naliaka studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, I'll stay too. You don't have to do that. I know." She pulled up a second chair on the other side of the bed. She held Min-soo's left hand. Junha held the right. They sat there in silence, keeping watch. Hours passed. 2, maybe 3. His aunt slept peacefully, her breathing steady now. "She's strong," Naliaka said quietly. "Stronger than she thinks." "She raised me," Junha said. He didn't know why he was telling her this. "When my parents died, she was barely 30, had her own life, her own plans, but she took me in, never complained, not once. Then she's lucky to have you here now." He looked at Naliaka across the bed. Her eyes were tired but kind. "Why do you do this, really? Care for people? Stay late. Go beyond what's required. You don't know us." She thought about that. "Back home, in my village, we have a saying, umoja nguvu. It means unity is strength, or more like, we are strong together. When someone is struggling, you help, not because you expect something back, but because one day it might be you who needs help." She smiled. "Besides, I like your aunt. She reminds me of my grandmother." At that moment, Junha realized something dangerous. He liked this woman. Not just appreciated her care for his aunt, but actually liked her. Her kindness, her honesty, the way she saw the world. That was dangerous in his life. Around 5 in the morning, Naliaka fell asleep in her chair, her hand still holding Min-soo's, her head tilted at an uncomfortable angle. Junha got up quietly, took off his jacket, and draped it over her shoulders. She stirred slightly but didn't wake. He stood there for a moment, looking at this woman who'd shown up in his carefully controlled world and somehow made it feel less empty. Then he sat back down and waited for morning. When Naliaka woke around 7, she was startled to find his jacket on her shoulders. She looked at him, confused, almost shy. "You stayed the whole night," she said. "So did you." She carefully removed his jacket and handed it back. "Thank you for this, and for being here for her. Thank you for staying." Their eyes met. Something passed between them, unspoken but real. The morning nurse arrived, breaking the moment. Naliaka stood up, suddenly professional again. "I should go. My shift actually starts in an hour, but I need to change." "Naliaka," he said. She paused at the door. There's a coffee shop downstairs. If you have time before your shift, maybe we could." He stopped. Since when did he struggle with words? She smiled, and it was like the sun coming up. "I'd like that." They sat in the hospital cafeteria, two strangers connected by an old woman upstairs. The coffee was terrible, but neither of them cared. "Tell me about Kenya," he said. So she did. She told him about Nairobi, about her family's small farm outside the city, about her 3 younger siblings who were all in school because she sent money home every month. "That's a lot of responsibility," he said. "They're my family. What else would I do?" "Still, it's a heavy weight for one person." She shrugged. "We all carry something, don't we? What's your weight, Mr. CEO?" No one had ever asked him that before, at least not genuinely. "Expectations," he said finally. "And regret." "Regret for what?" "Choices I made, paths I took that I can't walk back from." She didn't push for details, just nodded like she understood. "My mother used to say that yesterday's choices made today's life. But today's choices make tomorrow's. It's never too late to change direction. Sometimes it is. Maybe. But usually we just tell ourselves that because change is scary." He laughed. Actually laughed. "You should have been a philosopher, not a nurse." Why not both? From that morning on, something changed between them. Junha started visiting more often. Always late at night. Always when Naliaka was there. They'd sit with his aunt, help with her therapy, and then, after Minsu fell asleep, they'd talk. Naliaka told him about her dreams of becoming a full nurse, of maybe specializing in elderly care. He told her about Seoul, about places she should visit, about Korean culture. He was careful, always careful, never revealing too much about his real work. One night, she brought homemade chapati and shared it with him. "This is amazing," he said, genuinely impressed. "Don't sound so surprised, I can cook." "I didn't mean it like that. I haven't had a home-cooked meal in a long time." "What do you usually eat?" "Whatever gets delivered, or nothing." She looked horrified. "Mr. Seo, that's terrible for you." "I know. Next week, I'll bring extra. You need proper food." And she did. Every week after that, she'd bring something. Ugali, pilau, mandazi. She'd explain each dish, tell him stories about when her mother taught her to make them. He started to crave those nights. Not just the food, but the normalcy of it. The simple act of sharing a meal with someone who expected nothing from him. His aunt was getting better. The therapy was working. She could speak more clearly now, could move her left side with increasing strength. She'd beam whenever Junha visited, and she'd look between him and Naliaka with knowing eyes. One evening, Minsu was feeling well enough to be moved to the courtyard in a wheelchair. Naliaka took her, and Junha went along. It was spring. The trees were blooming. His aunt looked so happy to be outside. "Beautiful," Minsu said, clearer than she'd spoken in weeks. Naliaka squeezed her shoulder. "You're doing so well, Mrs. Park. I'm so proud of you." Junha watched them together and felt something he hadn't felt in years: peace. Later that night, after his aunt was asleep, he and Naliaka stood outside the hospital entrance. Her shift was over. She was heading home. "Thank you," he said, "for everything you've done for her, for me. You don't have to keep thanking me." "I do, because you've given us something we didn't have before." "What's that?" "Hope." She looked at him, really looked at him, and he wondered what she saw. Did she see the man he pretended to be, or did she somehow see the truth underneath? "Mr. Seo, can I ask you something?" "Junha," he said. "Please, just call me Junha." She smiled. "Junha, why do you always look so sad, even when you're smiling?" The question caught him off guard. No one had ever noticed that before, or if they had, they'd never asked. "Long story," he managed. "I like stories. Maybe someday I'll tell you. I'll hold you to that." She left, walking toward the bus stop, and he watched until she disappeared. That was the night he realized he was in serious trouble, because caring about someone in his world was a liability, and he was starting to care about Naliaka way too much. The next 2 months were the best he'd had in years. His aunt continued to improve. Naliaka was there almost every day, and slowly, without meaning to, Junha let his guard down. He told her things, not about his business, but about himself, about losing his parents when he was 12, about feeling alone in crowded rooms, about how success felt empty when there was no one to share it with. She listened, really listened, and she shared too. Her fears about never finishing school, her guilt over being so far from family, her loneliness in Seoul where she didn't quite fit in. "People look at me differently here," she admitted one night. "I'm used to it now, but it was hard at first, being the only African woman in most rooms." "I'm sorry. Don't be. It made me stronger, and I've met good people too, like your aunt, like you." They were sitting in the empty cafeteria again, 3 in the morning. The hospital was asleep around them. "Naliaka, I need to tell you something." She waited, but he couldn't do it. Couldn't tell her the truth about who he was, what he did, because once he did, everything would change. She'd look at him differently, and he wasn't ready for that. "Never mind," he said. "It's not important." The look she gave him said she knew he was holding back, but she didn't push. That was 2 weeks before she disappeared. It happened on a Tuesday. Junha arrived at the hospital at his usual time, 11 p.m., carrying the book his aunt had asked for. He walked into her room with a smile, ready to see both his aunt and Naliaka. But it was a different caregiver there, a middle-aged woman he'd seen before, but never really noticed. "Where's Naliaka?" he asked. The woman looked up. "Oh, she doesn't work here anymore. Resigned last week." The book slipped from his hand. He caught it before it hit the floor. "What do you mean resigned?" "Just didn't show up one day, then called and said she was leaving. No notice, no explanation. Very unprofessional if you ask me." His aunt looked upset. She'd been asking for Naliaka all week, the caregiver explained. Wouldn't eat properly. Barely cooperated with therapy. Junha's mind raced. Naliaka wouldn't just leave. Not without saying goodbye. Not to his aunt, at least. Did she leave a forwarding address? A phone number? "I don't have access to that information, sir. You'd have to ask HR, but they're closed until morning." He waited until morning. Called HR. They told him employee information was confidential. He owned the hospital, and they were telling him it was confidential. He could have pushed, could have revealed who he was, but that would raise questions he didn't want to answer. Why did he care so much about one caregiver? What was she to him? So he tried a different approach. He asked his assistant, Kang Dae, to look into it. Kang Dae came back 2 days later with barely anything. She didn't list an address, just a P.O. box. No phone number on file. It's like she didn't want to be found. That doesn't make sense. "Boss, maybe she had her reasons for leaving. People move on." But Junha couldn't accept that. He went back to the hospital, asked other staff members if anyone knew where Naliaka lived, if she'd mentioned anything about leaving. Nothing. No one really knew her. She'd been friendly but private, kept to herself mostly. He spent a week trying to find her. Then, too, his aunt got more depressed, stopped trying in therapy. The new caregiver was competent but distant, professional, in a way that felt cold after Naliaka's warmth. Finally, Kang Dae sat him down. "Boss, you need to let this go. We have actual business problems that need your attention. The situation with the Busan group is getting worse. We can't afford distractions right now." Junha knew he was right. He had responsibilities, an organization to run, people depending on him. So he stopped looking. But he didn't stop thinking about her, wondering where she'd gone, why she'd left without a word, if something had happened to her. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of visiting his aunt and seeing the empty space where Naliaka used to be. 3 weeks of terrible cafeteria coffee that he drank alone. 3 weeks of realizing just how much light she'd brought into his life. And then the phone call came. Now, lying in the ICU bed, Naliaka looked nothing like the vibrant woman who used to sing to his aunt. Junha sat beside her for hours, holding her hand, watching the machines track every breath. The doctor came in periodically to check on her. Each time, Junha asked the same question. Will she be okay? Each time, the answer was carefully neutral. We're doing everything we can. Around dawn, Naliaka's sister called. Her name was Aisha. She was 22, a university student in Nairobi. Her voice shook when she spoke. Is she going to die? Junha stepped out into the hallway. No, she's going to be fine. He said it with certainty he didn't feel. I don't understand. She never told us she was sick. In her last email, she said everything was perfect, that she was happy. When was that? 2 months ago. We've been worried because she hasn't responded lately, but we thought she was just busy with work and school. 2 months ago, right around the time they'd been having those late-night conversations, when she'd seemed fine, happy even. She'd been sick and never said a word. I want to come to Seoul, Aisha said, but the flights are expensive and I don't have enough saved. I'll arrange everything. Send me your information. You'll be on a flight tonight. I can't let you pay for that. I don't even know who you are. I'm someone who cares about your sister. Please, let me do this. There was a long pause. Then, quietly, okay, thank you. After he hung up, Junha stood in the hallway, staring at nothing. A nurse walked by, gave him a sympathetic look. He needed to know what happened, needed to understand. He called Kangdae. I need you to find out where Naliaka was living. I need access to her apartment. Boss, is that really necessary? Yes. This is getting complicated. If people find out you're this involved with a civilian. I don't care, just do it. Kangdae sighed. I'll have the address in an hour. It took 45 minutes. The apartment was in Garabongdong, a neighborhood where many immigrants lived. The building was old, paint peeling, narrow stairs that creaked. 4th floor, no elevator. The landlord let him in after Junha explained he was a friend, that Naliaka was in the hospital. The man seemed relieved. I found her 3 days ago. She'd been in there alone, sick. I heard coughing through the door. Thought maybe she had a cold. But then she stopped answering when I knocked. I got worried. Used my key. She was on the floor, barely conscious. 3 days alone. 3 days of being sick and scared, with no one to help. Junha felt rage and guilt twist together in his chest. The apartment was tiny. 1 room that served as bedroom, living room, and kitchen. A small bathroom. But it was clean, organized. Books stacked neatly on a makeshift shelf. Nursing textbooks, Korean language guides, a few novels in English. On the desk, he found letters, handwritten, in Swahili and English, from her siblings. They talked about school, about the farm, about missing her. They thanked her for the money she sent. They told her how proud they were of her. There were bank statements too. He looked at them, felt sick. She'd been sending 80% of her salary home, living on almost nothing. The dates on the medical bills started 4 months ago. Small expenses at first. Clinic visits she'd paid out of pocket. Then they stopped. She'd stopped going to the doctor. Why? He found the answer in a notebook, a budget, carefully tracked. She'd calculated the cost of medical care versus the cost of her siblings' school fees. She'd chosen her siblings. There was more. A journal, simple and black, sitting on the small table beside her bed. He hesitated. This was private, but he needed to understand. He opened it. The entries were sporadic, a few lines here and there. One from 3 months ago. Started coughing today. Probably just a cold, nothing to worry about. 2 months ago. The cough isn't going away. Feeling tired all the time. Went to the clinic. They want to run tests. Too expensive. I'll rest more. It'll pass. 6 weeks ago, the doctor called. Lupus. I had to look it up. Autoimmune disease. Treatment is expensive. How can I tell my family? They'll want to come here. They'll stop school. I can't let them do that. Not when they're so close to graduating. 1 month ago, Mr. Junha, almost caught me taking pills today. I told him they were vitamins. He believed me. I hate lying to him. But what can I say? That I'm sick? That I've been sick this whole time? He'd try to help and I can't accept that. I won't be someone's burden. 3 weeks ago, the last entry. I have to leave the hospital. I can't keep pretending I'm fine. Mrs. Park is getting better anyway. She doesn't need me anymore. And if I stay, Junha will figure it out. He notices things. I saw him watching me yesterday, when I had to sit down during therapy. He knows something is wrong. Better to disappear now, than let him see me fall apart. Junha closed the journal. His hands were shaking. She'd left to protect him from the truth, to protect her family from worry, to protect everyone except herself. He looked around the apartment again, at the life she'd built here with so little, at the sacrifices she'd made that no one knew about. On her nightstand, there was a photo, Naliaka, with 3 younger people, all smiling. Her siblings, probably, taken somewhere sunny and green, home. Next to it, something else caught his eye. A small piece of paper, folded. He picked it up. It was the emergency contact form from the hospital. His name written in her careful handwriting. His phone number. Why him? Why not her family? Her friends? Maybe because she knew her family would drop everything and come. Maybe because she didn't have friends close enough in Seoul. Or maybe, just maybe, because some part of her wanted him to know, wanted him to find her. He took the journal, the letters, the photo, evidence of a life he'd barely scratched the surface of. When he got back to the hospital, Aisha had arrived. She was sitting in the waiting room, looking exhausted and terrified. She looked like Naliaka, same eyes, same smile, though she wasn't smiling now. Mr. Seo? Call me Junha. Thank you for coming. Can I see her? He took her to the ICU, watched as Aisha broke down at the sight of her sister hooked up to machines. She held Naliaka's hand and cried, speaking in Swahili, words Junha couldn't understand but felt anyway. After a while, she calmed down, wiped her eyes. The doctor told me what happened. Lupus. She never said anything, not one word. I know. That's so like her, always protecting everyone else. Aisha looked at him. She wrote about you. In her emails, she said she made a friend in Seoul, someone kind, someone who made the city feel less lonely. His throat felt tight. She wrote that? Yes. She didn't mention you were rich, though, or that you owned the hospital where she worked. How did you know that? I asked the nurses. They told me. Aisha's gaze was steady. Who are you really? Because people don't just own hospitals and drop everything for a caregiver they barely know. He could have lied, should have lied, but he was tired of lying. I'm someone who didn't appreciate what I had until it was almost too late. Aisha studied him for a long moment. Do you love my sister? The question hit him like a punch. I don't know. Maybe. I didn't realize it until I thought I might lose her. That's the most honest thing anyone said to me today. She turned back to Naliaka. She deserves someone who sees her, really sees her, not just what she does for others, but who she is. I'm starting to understand that. They sat together in silence, 2 people who loved the same woman, waiting for her to wake up. Hours passed. The sun came up. Nurses changed shifts. The doctor came by, adjusted medications, checked vitals. And then, around noon, Naliaka's eyes opened. She looked confused at first, blinking against the light. Then she saw Aisha, and her eyes went wide. No, she whispered, trying to sit up. The machines beeped frantically. No. What are you doing here? You should be in school. You can't be here. Nali, calm down, Aisha said, crying again. I'm exactly where I need to be. The money for the flight. How did you pay for it? Did you use your school fees? Oh God, Aisha, no. I didn't pay for it. Junha did. Naliaka's head turned. She saw him standing there. The look on her face. It was terror and relief and anger all mixed together. You shouldn't have done that, she said. Her voice was weak but fierce. You shouldn't have brought her here. She deserved to know, Junha said quietly. That wasn't your decision to make. You're right. I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry she's here. Naliaka closed her eyes. A tear slid down her cheek. This is exactly what I didn't want. People disrupting their lives for me. Spending money they don't have. I can't pay you back for that flight. I can't pay for any of this. Are you wondering what Junha is going to say? How he'll convince her that some things matter more than money? Stay with us, because this conversation is about to get real. And trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. I don't want you to pay me back, Junha said. That's easy for you to say. You have money. That's not the point. Then, what is the point? She looked at him with red eyes. Why are you even here? I resigned. I left. That should have been the end of it. You made me your emergency contact. She flinched. I never thought they'd actually call you. I just needed to put someone down, and I didn't want to list my family and worry them. So you listed me instead. Yes. Why? She didn't answer. Naliaka, why me? Because, she said, so quietly he almost didn't hear it. Because I knew if something really bad happened, if I was actually dying, I wanted to see you one more time. Even if I was unconscious, even if I didn't know you were there, I just wanted you close. The machines beeped. Aisha looked between them. The air in the room felt electric. Junha moved closer to the bed. I went to your apartment. Her eyes widened. You had no right. I know. I did it anyway. I read your journal. Junha. She looked mortified. You've been sick for 4 months. You stopped treatment because you couldn't afford it, and your family at the same time. You resigned because you didn't want me to find out. He paused. Did I get that right? She wouldn't look at him. You almost died, Naliaka. You were alone in that apartment for 3 days. 3 days. Do you understand how close we came to not finding you in time? I understand that I made my choices, and they were mine to make. Even if those choices killed you. Yes. Her voice broke. Because at least my siblings would still be in school. At least they'd have a future. What about your future? I did what I had to do. Junha wanted to shake her, wanted to make her see how wrong she was. But Aisha spoke first. Nali, we don't want a future bought with your life. Do you really think we could go to school, graduate, have careers, knowing you died so we could have them? Is that what you think of us? Naliaka's face crumpled. I just wanted to give you what I never had. Education. Opportunities. You've given us everything, but not like this. Never like this. Aisha gripped her hand. We're a family. We're supposed to carry things together. I'm the oldest. It's my job to take care of you. And it's our job to take care of you too. You just never let us. The sisters looked at each other. Years of unspoken things passing between them. Finally, Naliaka said, I'm scared. Of what? Of being weak. Of needing help. Of becoming the burden instead of the helper. Aisha smiled through tears. You're the strongest person I know. And strong people ask for help when they need it. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Junha watched them, feeling like an intruder on this moment. He started to step back, to give them privacy. Don't go, Naliaka said. He stopped. I need to say something to you too. She took a shaky breath. I'm sorry for leaving without saying goodbye. To you and your aunt. That was cowardly. You were trying to protect yourself. I was running away. There's a difference. She finally met his eyes. You started to matter too much. The conversations we had, the time we spent together. It stopped being just about your aunt. It became about us. And that scared me, because I knew I was sick. I knew I couldn't give you anything real. So I left before you could see me fall apart. You should have told me. And said what? Hey, I'm dying, but let's keep having our nice little talks? That's not fair to anyone. What's not fair is deciding for me what I can handle. She laughed, bitter. Look at you. Look at this room, this hospital. I know you paid for all of this. The doctors, the treatment, the private room. A place like this, the ICU alone, probably costs more per day than I made in a month. I don't care about the money. You don't have to care. You have enough of it. She shook her head. Don't you see? We're from completely different worlds. You visit hospitals you own. I clean bedpans in them. You make decisions that move money around like it's nothing. I count every one to make sure I can eat and send money home. This, whatever this is between us, it was never going to work. The words stung, because part of him had thought the same thing. Their worlds were different. Too different. But another part of him, the part that had spent 3 weeks missing her, the part that had felt genuine panic when he thought he might lose her, that part didn't care about logic. You're right, he said. We're from different worlds, different backgrounds, different everything. But when I'm with you, none of that matters. You're the only person in my life who sees me as just a person, not as someone with money, or power, or connections, just me. Junha. Let me finish. I've spent years being alone in rooms full of people. Years of having conversations that mean nothing. Years of going through the motions and telling myself, this is just how life is. And then you showed up and made me laugh, made me feel, made me want to be better. He moved closer. So no, I don't care that we're from different worlds. I care that you're in mine now, and I don't want you to leave it. Silence filled the room. Aisha cleared her throat. I'm going to get coffee. Take your time. She left, closing the door gently behind her. Naliaka was crying now. I can't be what you need. What do you think I need? Someone from your world. Someone who fits. I don't want someone who fits. I want someone real. I'm sick, Junha. This isn't a cold. Lupus doesn't go away. It's chronic. I'll need treatment for the rest of my life. Medications, doctor visits, probably more hospitalizations. I'll have good days and bad days. Some days I'll be too tired to get out of bed. Some days my body will attack itself, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. She wiped her eyes. You're signing up for a lot of problems if you stay. Then I'm signing up. You say that now. I'll say it tomorrow too, and the day after that. She looked at him like she wanted to believe him, but couldn't quite manage it. He sat down in the chair beside her bed, took her hand carefully, mindful of the IV. When I got the call that you were here, that you were asking for me, I've never moved so fast in my life. I didn't think, I just knew I had to get to you. And when I saw you in this bed, looking so small, I realized something. What? That I'd been half alive before I met you, going through the motions. And you woke me up. You made me want mornings again. Made me want to have conversations that last until dawn. Made me want to learn how to cook so I could make you dinner instead of you always bringing food for me. He smiled. You made me want a different life, a better one. You can have that life with someone else. Someone healthy. I don't want someone else. Junha, be realistic. I am being realistic. Realistic about the fact that life is short and unpredictable, and the things that matter are rare. You matter. To me, that's the most real thing I know. She was quiet for a long time. Then, your aunt, how is she? The subject change was obvious, but he let it happen. Sad. She's been asking for you. Won't cooperate with the new caregiver. I miss her. She misses you too. I was going to say goodbye. I wrote a letter, but I couldn't figure out how to send it without you tracking where it came from. A small smile. You're resourceful like that. I would have found you eventually. I know. That's why I had to be careful. They sat in comfortable silence, her hand in his, the machines beeping steadily. Finally, she said, I don't know how to do this. Do what? Let someone help me. Let someone in. I've been on my own for so long. You don't have to figure it all out right now. Just don't push me away. That's all I ask. She looked at their joined hands. What if I get worse? What if the treatment doesn't work? Then we deal with it together. What if I can't work? What if I can't finish school? Then we figure out a different path. What if I'm more trouble than I'm worth? He leaned forward, looked her directly in the eyes. Naliaka, you could never be more trouble than you're worth. Never. A tear rolled down her cheek. He wiped it away gently. I'm really scared, she whispered. I know. Me too. Of what? Of losing you before I really got to know you. Of wasting the chance we have. He paused. Of you leaving again. I won't leave. Promise? She nodded. I promise. No more running away. The door opened. The doctor came in, followed by Aishisha holding 3 cups of terrible hospital coffee. Miss Mintui, good to see you awake, the doctor said. We need to discuss your treatment plan. Naliaka tensed. Junha squeezed her hand. You want me to stay? She hesitated, then nodded. So he stayed. Listened as the doctor explained the medications, the side effects, the long-term management strategies. Watched Naliaka's face go through fear, determination, resignation. When the doctor mentioned the cost, Naliaka's shoulders sagged. I'll handle it, Junha said immediately. Mr. Seo, we discussed this. We'll discuss it again later. Right now, just focus on getting better. The doctor looked between them, clearly sensing the tension, but professionally moved on. You'll need to stay in the hospital for at least another week. Then, if your lung function improves, we can discuss outpatient treatment. After the doctor left, Aisha spoke up. Nali, let him help, please. Pride isn't worth your life. It's not about pride. Then what's it about? Naliaka struggled to find words. When you accept help from someone, you owe them. I don't want to owe anyone. What if it's not about owing? Junha said. What if it's just about caring? People who care eventually want something back. Not everyone. She looked exhausted. The conversation, the emotions. It was all too much for someone who'd been at death's door hours ago. You should rest, Aisha said gently. We can talk about all of this later. But Naliaka grabbed Junha's sleeve before he could stand. Wait, there's something else I need to know. What? At your aunt's hospital, the staff there, did they know about you owning it? He understood what she was really asking. Had he been watching her? Had their friendship been some kind of test? No, almost no one knows. I keep that information private. Why? Because I like being invisible sometimes. Like being just another visitor. He met her eyes. Like being just Junha, instead of Mr. Seo, who owns half of Seoul. She studied his face. You really didn't tell anyone about us, about our conversations. No. Why not? Because they were mine, private. The one good thing in my life that had nothing to do with business or obligations or expectations. He smiled sadly. Selfish, maybe, but true. That seemed to satisfy her. She let go of his sleeve, settled back against the pillows. Okay, she said quietly. Okay what? Okay, you can help. With the medical bills. But I'm keeping track. And someday, somehow, I'll pay you back. He wanted to argue, but Aisha caught his eye and shook her head slightly. This was Naliaka's way of accepting help, of maintaining some dignity. Let her have it. Okay, he agreed. You keep track. She closed her eyes. Within minutes, she was asleep. Junha and Aisha moved to the hallway. Thank you, Aisha said, for everything. The flight, the hospital, for caring about her. You don't have to thank me. I do. Because I know my sister. She doesn't let people in easily. If she let you in, that means something. She's special. Aisha smiled. Yes, she is. And she deserves someone who sees that. Her smile faded. But I have to ask. You said you might love her. Might. That's not good enough. My sister has been through too much to be someone's maybe. The protective younger sister. He respected that. You're right. It's not good enough. But I'm not going to lie and say I'm certain about everything when I'm still figuring it out. What I am certain about is that I want her in my life. That I'll do whatever it takes to help her get better. That the thought of losing her made me realize how empty my life had been. He looked back at the hospital room door. The rest, the labels, the definitions, we'll figure it out as we go. But my commitment to her, that's not a maybe. That's a promise. Aisha considered this. Okay, good answer. But if you hurt her, I don't care how powerful you are. I will find a way to make you regret it. He laughed. First real laugh in weeks. Deal. His phone buzzed. Kangdae. He stepped away to answer. Boss, we have a situation. The Busan group is moving on our territory. They hit one of our shipments last night. We need you. Junha glanced back at the hospital room. At Naliaka sleeping inside. At the life he wanted versus the life he had. Handle it. Boss, this is serious. They're not going to back down without a show of force. Then show force. You know what to do. They'll see this as weakness. You not showing up. I don't care what they see. I'm exactly where I need to be. A pause. Then, is she worth it? Worth the risk of looking weak? Junha didn't hesitate. Yes. Okay, I'll handle it. But Junha, eventually you're going to have to choose. You can't keep one foot in both worlds forever. The call ended. Kangdae was right. Eventually, he'd have to choose. But not today. Today, he was choosing Naliaka. He went back inside. Aisisha had fallen asleep in the chair. Naliaka was still sleeping, her breathing steady. Junha sat down in the other chair, prepared to keep watch. Outside the window, Seoul continued on, indifferent to the small drama playing out in this hospital room. But inside, 3 people were learning what it meant to choose each other, to build family not from blood, but from choice. And for the first time in a long time, Junha felt something that might have been hope. The next week passed in a blur of medical tests and difficult conversations. Saliaka's lung function was improving. The aggressive treatment was working. But the side effects hit hard. Nausea, exhaustion, mood swings. Some days she could barely keep her eyes open. Other days she cried for no reason. Through it all, Junha was there. He brought her books when she felt well enough to read, sat in silence when she didn't want to talk, argued with doctors when he thought they weren't being aggressive enough with treatment. Aisisha had to return to Nairobi after 5 days. Her exams were coming up. She couldn't miss them. Are you sure you'll be okay? She asked Naliaka the night before her flight. I'll be fine. You need to focus on school. Call me every day. I will. Aisha looked at Junha. Take care of her. I will. After Aisisha left, something shifted. Without her sister there as a buffer, Naliaka became quieter around Junha, more withdrawn. He noticed, but didn't push, just kept showing up. His aunt came to visit one afternoon. She'd insisted on being wheeled over from the rehabilitation wing. When she saw Naliaka in the hospital bed, she started crying. No, Naliaka said, reaching for her hand. Don't cry. I'm getting better. See? Minsu touched Naliaka's face gently. Silly girl. Should have told us. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry not enough. Next time you tell. You hear me? There won't be a next time. Good. Minsu looked at Junha. You. Stop being stupid. Marry this girl. Naliaka choked on air. Junha's eyes went wide. Aunt. We're not. It's not like that. Minsu rolled her eyes. I'm old. Not blind. You two dance around each other like idiots. Life too short. I know this now. She squeezed Naliaka's hand. He's good boy. Stupid sometimes, but good heart. I'm right here, Junha said. I know. That's why I say it. So you listen. Minsu smiled. You saved my life, Naliaka. With your kindness. Now you let us save yours. Deal? Naliaka's eyes filled with tears. Deal. After Minsu left, they sat in awkward silence. She's very direct, Naliaka finally said. Always has been. About what she said, the marriage thing. You don't have to address it. She's from a different generation. She sees things simply. And you don't? He looked at her. I see things exactly how they are. Complicated. Yeah, complicated. She picked at the hospital blanket. Junha, when I get out of here, things need to go back to normal. What does that mean? It means you have your life, and I have mine. You've done enough. More than enough. But I can't let this become a permanent thing where you're taking care of me. Why not? Because I need to stand on my own feet. You can stand on your own feet and still let people help you. Not the way you help. You fix everything. The hospital bills, the specialists, bringing my sister here, all of it. That's not help, that's rescue. And I can't be someone who needs rescuing. He felt frustration building. This again. The pride thing. It's not about pride. Then what is it about? Because from where I'm sitting, you're recovering from a serious illness, and you're already planning how to push away the people who care about you. I'm planning how to get my life back. There's a difference. There it was, that phrase, the difference. He'd heard it a dozen times in business, always from people trying to justify bad decisions. Naliaka, I'm not trying to control your life. I didn't say you were, but you're treating my help like it comes with strings attached, doesn't it? Everything comes with strings. Not from me. She looked at him with tired eyes. You say that now. But eventually, you'll get tired of the sick girl who can't keep up. Eventually, you'll realize this is too much trouble, and I'd rather end it now on my terms than wait for you to leave. The words hit him hard. You think I'm going to leave? Everyone does eventually. I'm not everyone. You're right. You're rich and powerful, and you have a whole life I don't understand. And someday you'll wake up and wonder why you're wasting time on me when you could have anyone. He stood up, anger finally breaking through. You know what? You're scared. I get it. Being vulnerable is terrifying. But don't insult me by pretending this is about protecting yourself. You're protecting your walls, the ones you've built so high that no one can get in. Maybe I need those walls. Maybe, but they're going to leave you very alone. He walked out. It was the first real fight they'd had, and it felt terrible. He drove around Seoul for 2 hours, trying to calm down. Finally parked outside a convenience store and called Kangdae. I need a drink. That bad? She's pushing me away. Maybe you should let her. What? Kangdae sighed. Boss, I say this as your friend. This situation is getting messy. People are starting to ask questions. Why you're spending so much time at the hospital. Who this woman is. The Busan group already knows something's up. They're watching you. Junha felt cold. What do you mean, watching me? They had someone follow you yesterday. To the hospital and back. You're sure? Positive. We picked up the tale and dealt with it. But they're looking for weaknesses. And if they figure out you care about this woman, she becomes a target. Junha leaned his head back against the car seat. This was exactly what he'd been afraid of. His world touching hers, contaminating it. What do I do? You already know what you have to do. Distance yourself. Keep her safe by staying away. I can't do that. You might have to, unless you're ready to bring her fully into your world, with all the danger that comes with it. After hanging up, Junha sat in his car and faced the truth. As long as he was in her life, Naliaka would be at risk. The people he dealt with, they didn't play fair. They went after family, friends, anyone that mattered. And she mattered. Too much. He made a decision he knew would hurt them both. The next morning, he went back to the hospital. Naliaka was awake, eating breakfast. She looked up when he entered, surprise and relief on her face. You came back. I did, but I can't stay. Her face fell. What do you mean? You were right yesterday, about needing to get your life back, about this being too complicated. The lies tasted bitter, but he pushed through. I have responsibilities. I've been neglecting. Business that needs my attention. I can't keep doing this. Doing what? Being here all the time. It's not sustainable. She set down her spoon carefully. I see. I've arranged for all your medical bills to be covered. There's an account set up. You won't have to worry about costs. And I've spoken to the hospital administration. You can have your job back when you're ready, or they'll help you find a different position if you prefer. How generous. Naliaka. No, really. Very generous. Very thorough. You've tied up all the loose ends. He wanted to tell her the truth, that he was doing this to protect her, that walking away was killing him, but that would defeat the purpose. I'm sorry, he said instead. For what? You don't owe me anything. Like I said yesterday, you've already done more than enough. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were wet. Thank you for everything, really, I mean it. Take care of yourself. You too. He left an envelope on her bedside table and walked out. Didn't look back, because if he did, he'd never leave. Inside the envelope was enough money to cover her rent for 6 months, her school fees, and a note that simply said, "You were right. You don't know me. I'm sorry." 2 weeks passed. Naliaka was discharged from the hospital. The treatment was working. She'd need ongoing medication and regular checkups, but she could go home. Home. Her tiny apartment that suddenly felt enormous in its emptiness. Aisha called every day. Her siblings video chatted on weekends. They were happy she was recovering, relieved she was okay. But she wasn't okay. Physically, yes. The doctors were pleased with her progress. But emotionally, she felt hollow. She kept replaying that last conversation with Junha, the way he'd looked at her, the careful distance in his voice. He'd meant what he said. He was done, and she'd pushed him to it. One afternoon, Min-soo called, asked Naliaka to visit. When Naliaka arrived at the rehabilitation hospital, Min-soo was in the garden. She looked healthier, stronger. Therapy had worked wonders. "Sit," Min-soo said, patting the bench beside her. Naliaka sat. "You look terrible." "Thanks. You look great." "I know." Min-soo smiled. "Treatment working?" "Yes. I'm getting better." Body getting better. Heart still sick. Naliaka didn't deny it. "He's an idiot, my nephew. He's doing what's best for him. I don't blame him." "You think he left because he wanted to?" "I think he left because it got too complicated, which is what I told him would happen." Min-soo shook her head. "You both idiots. Perfect match." Despite everything, Naliaka laughed. "He left to protect you," Min-soo said quietly. "From his world, from danger. He thinks keeping distance keeps you safe." Naliaka felt her heart skip. What danger? The kind that comes from his life, the parts he never told you about. Min-soo looked at her seriously. "My nephew, he's not just businessman. He's involved in things. Complicated things. Dangerous things. I don't understand. He runs organization. Not all legal. Has enemies. Bad people who would hurt anyone he cares about." Min-soo took her hand. "He cares about you, so he left. Stupid boy thinks that protects you." The pieces fell into place. The late-night visits, the vague answers about his work, the way people at the hospital treated him with a mix of respect and fear. "He's in the Mafia," Naliaka said slowly. Such an ugly word, but yes, something like that. "And he thinks if he's around me, these people will target me." Yes. Naliaka sat with this information. Should have felt scared. Should have felt relieved he'd left. But all she felt was angry. "He made that choice for me. Didn't even ask what I wanted." Yes, stupid. Did he really think I'd be okay with him just disappearing? Men don't think. They act. They try to fix. Min-soo squeezed her hand. "Question is, what you do now? What can I do? You can let him be noble and sad, or you can fight for what you want. I don't even know where he is." Min-soo smiled. "I know where. I give you address. But first, you tell me. You love him?" Did she? They'd known each other for months, but really only as friends. The depth of feeling she had, was that love? "I don't know," Naliaka admitted. "But I know I miss him. I know that when I thought I was dying, he was the person I wanted to see. I know that my life feels smaller without him in it." Good enough. Love grows. But first, needs seed. Min-soo pulled out a piece of paper. His office. He there every day. Very sad. Kang-dae, his assistant, says he barely talks anymore. Just works and stares out window. Naliaka took the paper. "What if he sends me away?" "Then you come back. Again and again. Until he listens. That's what love is. Showing up." That evening, Naliaka stood outside a tall building in Gangnam, the address Min-soo had given her. Glass and steel reaching into the sky. This was Junha's world. Money and power and cold efficiency. She felt small in her simple clothes, her still healing body. What was she doing here? But then she remembered. The late-night conversations, the way he'd laughed at her stories, the panic in his eyes when he'd first seen her in the hospital. The careful way he'd held her hand. That was real. Whatever else was complicated, that part was real. She walked inside. The lobby was intimidating. Marble floors, expensive art, people in business attire moving with purpose. She approached the front desk. A young woman looked up, professional smile in place. "Can I help you?" "I'm here to see CO Junha. Do you have an appointment?" "No, but if you tell him Naliaka is here, I think he'll see me." The receptionist's smile became more fixed. "Mr. CO doesn't take walk-in appointments. If you'd like to schedule something, just call up, please. Tell him I'm here." "Miss, I really can't disturb him without prior arrangement." Naliaka felt frustration building. She'd come all this way. She wasn't leaving now. "Then I'll wait." "You can't wait in the lobby. Watch me." She sat down in one of the expensive chairs and pulled out her phone. Started texting Aisha about what she was doing. The receptionist looked flustered. Made a call. Security arrived within minutes. "Miss, you need to leave. I'm not causing trouble. I'm just sitting here. This is private property." "I know. I'm waiting for someone. Before we find out if Naliaka gets to see Junha, and what happens when she does, do me a favor. If this story has given you all the feels, if you're invested in seeing these two figure things out, hit that subscribe button. Because you've stuck with this story from the beginning, and the ending is going to be worth it. Trust me. Now let's see what happens next." The security guard looked uncomfortable. Before he could say anything else, a man in a sharp suit stepped out of the elevator. He was older, maybe 45, with sharp eyes. He looked at Naliaka, recognition flickering across his face. "You're Naliaka?" "Yes. And you are?" "Kangdae. I work with Junha." He waved off the security guard. "It's fine. I'll handle this." The guard left, though he didn't look happy about it. Kangdae sat down in the chair across from her. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk to him." "That's not a good idea. So everyone keeps telling me. But I'm not leaving until I see him." Kangdae studied her. "You know why he left, don't you? Why he's staying away?" "Minsu told me. About the danger. About him trying to protect me." "And you came anyway?" "Yes." "Why?" Good question. Why had she come? To yell at him for making decisions without her? To tell him she didn't care about danger? To see if what they had was real? "Because he doesn't get to decide this alone," she said finally. "He doesn't get to choose for me. If there's danger, I deserve to know, and I deserve to decide whether it's worth it." Kangdae almost smiled. "You're braver than he thinks. Or more stubborn. Both, probably." He stood up. "Stay here. Let me see if he'll come down." "He's here? In the building?" "He's always here now. Works 18-hour days. Doesn't go home. Doesn't eat properly. It's like watching someone slowly disappear." The description hurt. "Tell him I'm here. Tell him I'm not leaving." Kangdae took the elevator up. Naliaka waited. 5 minutes, 10, 15. Other people came and went through the lobby. Some glanced at her curiously. She ignored them. Finally, the elevator opened. Junha stepped out. He looked tired, thinner than 2 weeks ago. His eyes found her immediately. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then he walked over. "You shouldn't be here." "Hello to you too." "Naliaka, I'm serious. This isn't safe." "Then let's go somewhere safe and talk. We said everything we needed to say at the hospital." "No, you said things. I didn't get a chance to respond." "There's nothing to respond to." She stood up, walked closer to him, close enough to see the dark circles under his eyes, the tension in his jaw. "You left to protect me." He didn't deny it. "You thought if you stayed away, the people who want to hurt you wouldn't target me." "It's not a thought, it's a fact." "Did it work?" "What?" "Staying away. Did it make you feel better? Did it protect me? Or did it just make us both miserable?" His jaw tightened. "Whether I'm miserable doesn't matter. What matters is you're safe." "I'm safe. I'm also alone. I'm also confused about why the person I care about decided I wasn't worth the risk of knowing the truth." "It's not about worth." "Then what's it about?" People were starting to notice them. A man and a woman having an intense conversation in a corporate lobby. Not exactly subtle. Junha seemed to realize this too. Come with me. He led her to the elevator. They rode up in silence. 30 floors. The doors opened to a private office. Floor-to-ceiling windows. No, wait. Can't use that phrase. The view was incredible. Souls spread out below them like a living map. Nice office, she said. It's functional. It's intimidating, which is probably the point. He moved to stand by the window, arms crossed. Defensive posture. Say what you came to say. Your aunt told me. About your work. About the danger. Then you understand why I left. I understand you made a choice. I don't understand why you didn't let me make one too. Because there's nothing to choose. Being around me puts you at risk. That's not negotiable. Everything is negotiable. Not this. She walked closer to him. Look at me. He did, reluctantly. When I was in that hospital bed, when I thought I might die, do you know what I kept thinking about? What? Regret. All the things I never said. All the chances I didn't take because I was scared, or proud, or stupid. She took a breath. I kept thinking about you, about our conversations, about how you made me feel seen in a city where I usually feel invisible. And I regretted not telling you. Telling me what? That you mattered. That somewhere along the way, between the late-night coffee and the terrible hospital food, and the way you looked at your aunt with so much love, I started to care about you. Not as my patient's nephew, not as the generous benefactor, as you, as Junha. He looked like he was in pain. Don't. What? Don't tell you the truth? Don't make this harder than it already is. Why should this be easy? Nothing worth having ever is. You don't know what you're asking for. My life. It's not normal. There are threats, real ones. People who would hurt you just to get to me. So, teach me how to be careful. Protect me if you want. But don't cut me out completely and call it protection. What if I can't keep you safe? What if I don't need you to? What if I just need you to be honest with me and let me make my own choices? He turned away from her, looking out at the city. When Kangdae told me you were being followed, that my enemies were watching me, watching you, I've never been so scared in my life. When was I followed? 2 weeks ago, before I left, they had someone tail me to the hospital, which means they saw me visit you, which means they know you matter to me. And you thought leaving would make them forget. I thought it would make them lose interest. If I'm not visiting, if I'm not involved, you become irrelevant to them. Did it work? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I've just made everything worse by showing them that you're important enough for me to walk away. She hadn't thought of that. What do? We don't do anything. You go back to your life. Heal. Finish school. Forget about me. And if I can't forget? He finally looked at her. Really looked at her. His eyes were full of things he wasn't saying. Then I'm sorry. Because I can't offer you the life you deserve. I can't give you safety, or normalcy, or any of the things you should have. What if I don't want those things? What if I want the messy, complicated truth? Why would you want that? She moved closer. Close enough to touch him if she wanted to. Because in 3 years in Seoul, you're the only person who made it feel like home. Because when I was scared and alone, your name was the one I said. Because I'd rather have complicated with you than easy with anyone else. His breath caught. Tell me you don't feel the same, she said quietly. Tell me the last 2 weeks have been easy for you. Tell me you don't miss our conversations, our arguments, the way we used to sit with your aunt and just exist together. Tell me and I'll leave. I can't tell you that. Why not? Because it would be a lie. His voice was rough. I miss you. Every day. Every hour. I go to the hospital to visit my aunt, and I look for you, even though I know you won't be there. I make coffee at 3 in the morning, because that's when we used to talk. I read articles about lupus treatment obsessively, because I need to know you're okay, even if I can't ask you myself. Her heart was pounding. Then why are we doing this? Why are we pretending we don't matter to each other? Because mattering gets people killed in my world. Then change your world. He laughed bitterly. It's not that simple. Isn't it? You have money, power, resources. If you wanted out, Couldn't you get out? It's not about wanting. Once you're in, there's no clean exit. So you're just going to stay, forever? Running an organization you clearly hate, keeping everyone at arm's length, being alone? If it keeps people safe, yes. That's not noble, that's cowardice. He flinched. Careful. No, I'm tired of being careful. I'm tired of both of us being so scared of getting hurt that we're hurting ourselves instead. She grabbed his arm, made him face her. I've been dying slowly for months, and I didn't tell anyone, because I didn't want to be a burden. You've been dying slowly for years in this life, and you won't leave because you don't want to be selfish. We're both idiots. Despite everything, he smiled. Small, but real. We are, aren't we? Completely. They stood there, close enough to feel each other breathe. What do you want? He asked softly. Honestly? Honestly. I want late-night conversations. I want to see you smile the way you do when you think no one's watching. I want to meet your aunt for lunch and hear her tell embarrassing stories about you. I want to know that when things get hard, because they will, I can call you, and you won't pretend everything has to be perfect. She paused. I want a chance, a real one, with honesty and risk, and all the messy, complicated parts. I could be putting you in danger. You could be. Or your enemies could realize I'm not worth the trouble. Or we could be careful and smart and figure it out. She squeezed his arm. I'm not asking for guarantees. I'm asking for a chance. He covered her hand with his. If we do this, you have to understand something. What? I'm working on getting out of the illegal parts of my business. It's a long process, years probably, but I've started. Because you're right, I do hate it, and I don't want to live like this forever. Hope bloomed in her chest. Really? Really. I started the process a month ago. Before you got sick, you made me want to be better. I didn't do anything. You existed. You showed me what life could be like with someone who sees the good in people, who believes in second chances. He touched her face gently. You made me believe I could have more than this. You can. We both can. He pulled her close then. Not quite a hug, but something near it. His forehead resting against hers. I'm scared, he admitted. Me too. What if I mess this up? Then we fix it and try again. What if something happens to you because of me? Then we deal with it. Together. Together, he repeated, like testing the word. Together. They stood like that for a long moment. Two people who'd been so alone, finding each other in the middle of all the chaos. Finally, Junha stepped back. Are you hungry? The question was so normal it made her laugh. Starving, actually. There's a place nearby. Small, quiet, good food. Sounds perfect. They left his office together. In the elevator going down, their hands brushed and stayed touching. 3 months later. Naliaka stood in her new apartment. Not huge, but bigger than her old place. 2 rooms, an actual kitchen, windows that let in light. She'd insisted on paying rent. Junha had insisted the building was his anyway, so he was charging market rate, whether she liked it or not. They'd compromised. She paid what she could afford. He didn't argue about the rest. Her nursing courses were going well. The hospital had given her a part-time position in outpatient care, working with elderly patients. She loved it. Her health was stable. The medication was working. She had good days and bad days, but mostly good. And Junha was part of her life now. Really part of it. They had dinner together twice a week. Sometimes at restaurants, sometimes at her place, where she cooked, and he pretended to help. He was terrible in the kitchen, but enthusiastic. His aunt joined them often. Min-soo had moved to a smaller apartment near the hospital, where she still did therapy. She and Naliaka had lunch every week. It wasn't perfect. There were still complications. Junha's business required his attention. Sometimes he had to cancel plans. Sometimes he came to her looking tired and worried about things he couldn't fully explain. But he was trying. Really trying. He'd cut ties with several of his shadier associates. Was transitioning his money into legitimate businesses. It was slow, careful work, but he was committed. Tonight, he was coming over for dinner. Naliaka had made pilau, his favorite. When he arrived, He looked exhausted, but happy to see her. "Long day?" she asked. "Very, but it's better now." They ate, talked about their weeks, argued playfully about whether Korean or Kenyan food was superior. After dinner, they sat on her small balcony. Seoul sparkled below them. "Can I ask you something?" Junha said. "Always." That night, in the hospital, when you were unconscious, the nurses said you kept saying my name. I know. I've always wondered why. Were you calling for help? Were you scared? She thought about how to explain it. Neither, really. Then what? I was remembering all our conversations, the way you made me feel less alone, and I wanted to hold on to that feeling. Because if I was going to die, I wanted my last thoughts to be of home. Home? You made Seoul feel like home. Not a place. A person. You. He was quiet for a moment. Then, you know what I realized that night? What? That home isn't where you're from. It's who makes you want to stay. She smiled. That's pretty wise. I have my moments. They sat in comfortable silence, his arm around her shoulders, her head resting against him. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For coming back, for staying, for being brave enough to try. Thank you for not giving up on me. Never. Somewhere in the city, life continued. People rushing, working, loving, losing. But up here, in this small moment, two people who'd almost missed each other had found something rare. Not perfect love, not easy love, but real love. The kind built on honesty and choice, and showing up even when it's hard. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. So that's the story of how a Korean mafia boss and a Kenyan caregiver found each other in the middle of Seoul, how they almost lost each other, and how they chose, every day, to keep choosing each other. If this story touched you, if it made you believe in second chances and complicated love, and the courage it takes to be vulnerable, do me one last favor. Subscribe to this channel, because there are more stories like this one, stories about real people making messy choices and finding hope anyway. And I'd love to share them with you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for staying until the end. And remember, home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a person brave enough to see you, really see you, and stay anyway.